Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tarot Today. My name is Adrien, and I'm here with.
Delphine,
Hello, Delphine. How are you today?
I'm good. How have you been? What's your week been like?
The week's been tough, but it's good. It's good. This is our Friday, our regular recording day. So I always look forward to Friday because, well, we get to do this, and then it's the weekend.
That's very true. Yeah, it's an interesting week, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, seven planets were in Aries. I think that they're finally coming out now. And I think that's a perfect segue actually into talking about the Suit of Wands, right?
Yes, I mean this episode will be aired in a few weeks, but we've just coming out of all these planets in Aries, and it was really weird because I was expecting impulses, things to move forward, right? I was expecting really some fire, but actually one of the big things that messed us up, I feel, was this conjunction of Mars and Saturn,
Yeah.
right? And that was really tough because it took a lot of willpower to get anything done. What do you think? How did you feel that?
Yeah, completely. So I actually have a Mars Saturn conjunction in my birth chart. So I feel like
Hmm.
whenever there's a Mars Saturn conjunction, transiting, I feel it especially hard. And so I oftentimes like find out, or I suppose rather it brings up all of my sort of internal blockages. But I felt like I was really up against myself this week.
Yeah, it must be really challenging, especially if you activate this bit in your chart. Wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so Mars Aries, this is very fiery, right? Mars is a fiery planet, Aries is a fiery sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac, is the initiator, is the beginner, is the beginning, is I. It's all about. I always think that my Aries friends like to run through a wall and then think, oh, well, hold on, there was an actual door for me to use instead of me breaking down the wall, right? And so it's the sign of the doer, right? The one that goes forward. And so the thing is that today we're going to talk about the suit of wands, right? And the suit of wands is associated with the element of fire, right? So it kind of feels appropriate to do that at the moment. But of course, in the suit of wands, you have some cards which feel like it's really moving forward, and some cards that feel like it's not so moving forward. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. Yeah, there are cards of movement, and then there's kind of cards of like blockage, a little bit. And I mean, ultimately, the suit of wands, this is the suit that deals with our drive, our attraction, our initiative, ego, momentum. And so this is the suit of what people actually do. Especially when they feel excited or competitive or passionate. I always say that the suit of wands is kind of like the suit of vibes, right? Um, because like sometimes like there's not actually that much thought behind it, like sometimes it's just kind of instinctual, right? It's a reflex.
Hmm. When you said suit of attraction, can you elaborate a bit more? What do you mean by suit of attraction? Because cups could be an attraction as well. So
yeah
tell me
and
how you see
cu-
the difference.
yeah, and cups kind of attraction is going to be more emotional, right? Because like the cups is like corresponds to the element of water, and it deals with our feelings. But the suit of wands is about passion, right? It's about passion, so that's how it deals with attraction.
Yeah, so it's the fire, right? It's
Yeah.
really the fire. When we say passion, you think of something passionate, exciting. I mean, my household is very like this. I'm French, but my parents are originally from Sicily, right? So very Mediterranean, and my partner is from Chile, so South America. So I can tell you that here, when we laugh, it's very passionate, and when we argue, it's fire. And I'm not going to say that plates break, but almost. You So the passion is present. So it's very wand oriented, you know?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, the difference between like wands and cups attraction, the way that I always like to describe it is like when you're in a bar and you see somebody hot walk by and it's like that instinctive body reaction of just like,
Uh-huh.
ooh, that person's hot, you know? And then it's like, which is very different to like, seeing someone and feeling butterflies in your chest,
Yeah.
because that's cups type attraction. And so it's like that knee jerk, like, ah, is wands. And Yeah, cups is a lot sweeter.
So it's like wands is when you meet somebody, but maybe you want to take them to bed. But cups is when you meet somebody and you're actually picturing yourself in a wedding dress walking down the aisle.
Exactly, exactly.
I've been rewatching Sex and the City at the moment.
Ah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, for me, it really depends on where I'm at in my cycle, which kind of attraction I default toward. Right.
Well, we're not going to talk about the sword attraction at the moment because that's an all different story. Yeah, cool. No, that's interesting. It's good. So you see, I think that the suits sort of represent different aspects, of I mean, the sword attraction could be a mental attraction, right? Like an attraction of the mind, what excites you in somebody's mind. It's true that in the more in the Smith-Waite based tarot, the swords are not really they don't carry a very nice flavor usually. Huh? So it's a little bit. So we'll talk about this in a few weeks' time. We'll talk about the swords. So let's go back to the wands. Let's go back to the wands. How should we do this? Should we go through this story? How do you usually teach your wands? Tell me.
Yeah, so like I do usually go through the story. And so what Adrian and I mean by quote unquote going through the story is that, like with the major arcana, there's a natural progression from the Fool to the World. And thus there's also a natural progression from the ace to the 10. So the ace is always the beginning of the suit, it's a seed. And then the 10 is always a completion or it's the full actualization or realization of the suit.
Mhm.
And so depending on the energy of that suit, like, the 10 will look very different. And, of course, at the end, we'll see that. But how do you usually teach it, Adrian?
Yeah, the way I usually teach, I have two ways of teaching the minors. The first way is to look at all the numerals to find out if there is a to try to see a sort of numerology within the cards, right? And there is a sort of numerology, like you said, the one is the beginning, the seed, the two brings the duality, the three brings the first completion of the suit, I always find. This is not the full completion of the suit, but this is the first shape of the suit. Why? Because in Kabbalah there is the first triad, the first triangle, which creates the first shape, right? Then the four is stability and so on. The other way I also teach is to look at the story from 1 till 10, because that is kind of easy to create the story and remember it. So if you guys are listening to this and you are sitting comfortably, why don't you grab your tarot decks and grab your wands, pause, press the button pause, pause the recording, and then get your tarot deck and get your wands from Ace till 10 and lie them down next to each other, right? Now, if you put them side by side, you might be able to see a bit of a story that emerges. So why don't we go through that little story, huh? Because
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
that's the easy way, I think, to remember the ones. I mean, of course, there's many, many. We won't be able to go through all the details here, but at least to give you an idea of how this works. Okay, so let's start. The Ace of Wands. We have this card where there's a cloud and a hand comes out of nowhere, and we have a stick with
Foliage, the
with
leaves.
foliage. That's what I'm looking for foliage. So what can we say about this? Is that out of nowhere, there is an impulse, a beginning, a fire. I always describe this as the scratching of a match. When you light a match, this is the Ace of Wands.
I completely agree. This is like the moment that you suddenly want to message somebody that you haven't messaged in like years. Or maybe you get a business idea at 2 a.m. and you're just completely obsessed with it. Or maybe it's like strong sexual attraction out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're in the bar, and then you feel something inside of you, and you don't really understand why.
Yeah, it's like the surge of energy.
The surge of energy. Yes, absolutely. It's kind of like boom, like there's a spark that happens, right? It's the spark.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Then what happens? From one, we'll step into two. Then we have two ones.
Yep. And so then we have two wands. And so the two of wands, I always see this as like kind of the crossroads card. So this is, this is a man and he's holding a globe in his hands. He's kind of looking out over the horizon. There's this sense of like trying to understand where this person wants to go, right? Or that's how I always see the Two of Wands. So, deciding whether to leave your job, but you haven't necessarily told anyone yet. So, or you're talking to someone, but you're weighing if they're actually worth pursuing. Or you're planning a move, but you're still researching. So, oftentimes it's like with the two, I don't find that it's really an external process, if that makes sense. Usually it's something that's kind of happening internally.
Yeah.
So, to me, this is the card of not acting yet, but weighing your options privately.
Yes. In the Marseille tradition, we relate the numbers of the majors into the minor. So
I do, yeah,
yeah, so the two is the high priestess, la papesse, and the hangman. So the process of the high priestess and the hangman is an inner process, is a process of reflection, a process of thinking about what needs to happen. And the two of wands is really like when he holds the globe in his hand, he's looking at the globe with the two wands, thinking about what might be the action to take here, right? And the action is not taken. So it's not a card of action. It's a card of reflection for the action, I would say, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
no, no, absolutely. That makes sense. Absolutely. And yeah, I completely agree because like, usually at the end of my minors course, it's like I teach everyone the correspondence from like, just the minors, the 1 through the 10 from the majors 1 through 10. Um, but it is really interesting, right? How do you think that the high priestess relates to the Two of Wands or just twos in general?
The high priestess, it's about the meditation aspect, the
Yep,
thinking. It's about the thinking. It's about the inner development before the action can be taken. So,
yep, yep,
so it's really about, thinking about, if you think about the Two of Wands, often you see the Two of Wands on inside a castle, right? You can see this chap is inside his castle, he's not outside yet. And he has the two wands and he has the globe in his hand and he's looking. It's a bit like he's looking on the map. Where is he going to travel? Where his fire, because wands are fire, where his fire is going to be spreading, right?
yep,
So the high priestess is this, she's reflecting. The hangman is the same. He can't do anything else but just hang there upside down and reflect onto what he's going to do, what needs to be done next, right? And
yep.
so there's something very much about reflective in the two, because all of a sudden it's not a card of action, but it's a card of the awareness of the option, if that makes sense.
Awareness of the option. I love that. And I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
What do you think of the three?
Well, then the three, we put things into action.
Yeah,
Once we've decided which way to go, the three, then we start conquering, especially in the wands, because wands are fire and fire needs to spread, right? This is
I love that. I love that. I love that.
you
Yeah,
can't control fire, right? Fire, I mean, you want to control fire because, otherwise it just keeps spreading. But also for the fire to spread, it needs something to burn, right? So this is why we need all the different elements to come together. But the Three of Wands is this idea of now we are on the field, we are taking things forward, we are taking action after having thought, what's my verb here?
yeah. Having had thought, I think that's
Having
fair.
had thought. Oh my and if you would have told me one day I would be doing a podcast in English, like I would have thought, yep,
That's so
here I am.
funny. It's okay, Adrian. You can speak more languages than most of us. So,
And so once you thought about what you wanted to conquer in the third, you take the action to do so. You take the action to do so. You move forward. This is a card of action. If you think about odd numbers are always more active than even numbers, I find.
yes, 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 yes.
What do you think about the third?
Yeah. I mean, really, it's that, the from the two, it's like we're turning into the three, right? So there's this dynamicism. You see now I can't speak English and it's my native language. It's just more dynamic, right?
Dynamism. Dynamism?
Dynamism. Dynamism. Um, oh. Well, I'll stop embarrassing myself. But basically, it's like, we are going from 2 points into the three. From the two, the third is created. And so there is this sense of creation with the three.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, like, I mean, exactly what you said. It's like, I mean, the odd numbers are more about movement. It's like we're turning, like, like, I mean, not all odd numbers are like great odd numbers in the sense that I mean that, not all odd numbers feel supportive at the time, but there is a tension point that causes expansion, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, I think we always go between this sort of if we go from two, three, four, five, there's always an odd, even number, right? So there is this
Yeah,
breathing, expanding, contraction, expanding, contraction. It is a normal process of the universe, right? When
yeah,
we breathe, we have to expand and contract, expand and contract. And I think this happens in the suit, and it also happens in astrology. One sign the next sign always sort of complements the previous sign.
yeah,
You always have that, you also have that relationship that happens.
hmm,
So yeah, absolutely. Odd numbers, I mean, I think these numbers are neither good or bad. This is, there is a duality in all these numbers. And the
yeah,
three is really about creation. And number three relates to the Empress, which is the great mother, the creation. Absolutely. So we have a numerology which sort of emerges there, you know.
yep,
That's I can't avoid it. This is really these numbers are informed in that way for me. But then from three to four, what happens there?
yeah. From three to four, it's like, I mean, the Four of Wands is a beautiful card. It's one of my favorite cards. A card of like celebration, a card of a happy home, happy domestic life. But also, like, I mean, fundamentally, the Four of Wands is about consolidation, or I always see four as about consolidation. Um, So this can, like, the Four of Wands can look like a relationship becoming official, or it can look like, sorry, moving into a new home. It can be celebrating a milestone. So whether that's a promotion, an event, or a success, typically the Four of Wands is about feeling secure and happy and stable for now.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, in the ace, of course, we have that surge of passion, and the two of wands, we decide what we want to do with it. With the three of wands, like, I mean, we're on our way, we're, in the middle of the journey. And then with the four of wands, we, for a moment, we reach a momentary destination, and there is like some happiness, joy, and celebration there, whatever that milestone is.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a sort of success, right? It is a
Yeah.
celebration into what's happened. And I like the fact that, I mean, I always see that the celebration is outside the castle, outside the home, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
always feel like because fire cannot be contained, people have to go outside to actually celebrate what has been achieved, right? And I always like this about this card is this idea that even though we have the four, we stop working and we celebrate, but still the joy of the fire cannot be contained and has to go outside, type of thing. I really like that. The fours are about stability. They're about a shape, a structure, and for better or for worse. We have the emperor who's number four, and we have the idea of temperance as well with number four. So we have a very caring structure or a structure that could suffocate us, or also with temperance in the shadow aspect would be like, too much tampering, you lose the essence of things. So
Yeah.
you could see depending on which suit this is the way it works on each suit. It's quite interesting. And
Yeah.
then from the stability of the four, remember we had this even number. Then we step into the five, which is an odd number, right? Which is then the five of wands. Let's describe this card, in the Smith weight. What I love
Oh,
about it is that everybody, there's five characters on there, and they all wear something extremely different. It does not match. One has green polka dots.
I love the green polka dot guy.
Stands out, stands out.
Yeah, the Five of Wands. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because, like, I mean, the fives are always a point of conflict. They're always the point of conflict within the suit. The Five of Wands, I always say that this is the kind of conflict that, it's not super major. It's not like we're falling out with our family. It's kind of like the kind of conflict where, we wake up 5 minutes late and then we end up spilling coffee for like on ourselves and then we're late for the bus or something like that. Like, that can be an example of the Five of Wands. Or like, it can be the card of like office politics or everyone competing or talking over each other, or it can be, dating multiple people who are also dating others, or like, maybe there's a sense of competition, or like, maybe you have suitors vying for your attention. It can also be the card of miscommunication. It can also be the card of like sportsmanship, right? So it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I live in central London and there's a football stadium quite nearby. So whenever there's a game, it's like, there's just a bunch of quote unquote lads, about just kind of like roaring and like making lots of noise. And I always see that as like very Five of Wands, right? Um, or like, people fighting in the comment section or something like,
Yes.
like on the Telegraph or something like that, just something absolutely silly. So yeah, it's like the Five of Wands, it's conflict, but it's also not necessarily the worst kind of conflict. One interpretation that I love for this card is that it's also the card of testosterone.
Okay.
That's a personal interpretation that I use for it. But and or sometimes like, have you ever felt that like sort of knot of energy that you just kind of maybe feel in your stomach sometimes? It just feels like it's sort of like this knot of internal conflict. It's
Yeah.
like that's the feeling of the Five of Wands. It can also feel very like the energy of this card, because it's like when with wands we're talking about energy. It's very kinetic, is how I find it.
It's very entangled, I find the five of
Yes.
it's very entangled and it's lacking, it's five people wanting, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, you know. And
Yes.
actually in the kitchen you need one chef, one sous chef, and you need like all the other people that are actually being told what to do. With the five of wands, I feel like we have five full chefs trying to assert their ideas, but it's not working because they all want to do something different, right? And so yes, there's this idea of entanglement, and the only way to get this entanglement sorted is to have a leader, which is what I think happens in the Six of Wands. I know the Six of Wands talks about victory. We have a chap arriving on his horse, and is moving forward, right? And but I feel like if we tell a story from 1 till 10, in the Six of Wands, we have somebody appearing that disentangle all these wands and it says, this is how we're moving forward. Listen to me, I'll be your leader, type of thing. You see, there is a bit of a narrative here that happens for me. So the Six of Wands really talks about somebody that is successful, somebody that there is a success, there is a leader appearing that moves forward, that also spreads the joy because it's the wands, it's fire, it's spreadable, a little bit like Nutella. Uh, so the Six of Wands, sorry, I'm being a bit silly today, but the Six of Wands brings about this idea that finally we do have because six is all about communication. We have a communication within amongst the wands how to get things straightened up. What do you think?
No, absolutely. I entirely agree. The Six of Wands is funny, right? Because with the way that I always see it in practice, well, maybe I won't go into that, but basically, it's like what this can look like, because I really like to ground the cards in sort of external events. Um, this can look like someone publicly choosing you, right? Someone publicly choosing you. So whether that's for a job or maybe even for like a relationship,
Mhm.
there's a sense of ego validation that comes with the Six of Wands. And so it's getting recognition at work, or winning something, or being just very clearly preferred. You're being seen as the winner. Um, and that's the Six of Wands. I also love that the horse is white.
Mhm.
It's like, that expression to have somebody coming in riding on their white horse.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, with the Six of Wands, I agree with everything else that you said.
great. But then we go from six to seven. What happens there?
In the seven, it's like we're defending the victory that we gained in the six.
Yeah.
So this can look like having to defend your position at work, or someone questions your worth or your role, or you push back. You're doing well, but you feel like people are watching or challenging you. I mean, I always see the Seven of Wands appear when somebody is maintaining their position or like feeling like for whatever reason they have to defend themselves. I know that for a while, I had like a lot of clients. I mean, I still have a lot of clients, but a lot of my clients for like a period of time were all influencers. And it was just really funny because it's like a lot of them would get the Seven of Wands. And because they were in the public eye, but specifically in the public eye on like, in the online sphere, they would like reach a lot of, or they would get a lot of like hate, and they constantly felt like they were defending themselves online, or like
Yeah.
just kind of like keeping trolls at bay and things like that. So um the Seven of Wands is yeah, defending one's position is how I
Yeah.
read it.
The one word that comes to me always with Seven of Wands is persevere.
Yeah.
Persevere. Because if you in the six, you're the winner and you're the chosen one. In the seven, then you have to keep working at it so you can, defend your position. Absolutely. In the Smith Waite Tarot, the chap in the Seven of Wands has different shoes on. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Yeah, that's so funny. I did at one point notice this, but I don't. I forgot about this detail. I forgot about that detail until
It's
just now.
like no matter what, you've got to defend your position here. It's like you got
You
to,
couldn't even you couldn't even get your shoes on fast enough.
yeah, you got the wrong shoe on, but you got to defend your position, you know? Absolutely. And then one card, which is a little bit odd here, is the Eight of Wands. Why? Because we have literally eight wands, eight parallel wands heading for arriving on land, right? Very quickly. How do you read this usually?
It's funny. It's like with the Eight of Wands, in the same way, like with the Three of Wands, it's kind of just like pure vibes, or that's how I always see it. And so what I mean by that is like it's just momentum, it's just energy. It's like, I mean, things are flowing, things are moving, things are happening swiftly. So this can look like sudden intense texting or nonstop messages, right? Like your phone pinging, getting a bunch of emails or something like that. It can also look like plans happening quickly. So whether that's travel or dates or decisions, it can also mean that things are escalating very quickly with somebody. So basically, just when the Eight of Wands appears, things are moving quickly and decisively because all of the wands are in unison. They're moving in the same direction. One interpretation I loved of this card is that the Eight of Wands can, in some circumstances, be known as the eight arrows of love. And I loved that interpretation just because when we do fall in love, sometimes things can be quite swift and things can fall into place quite quickly, right?
Tell me more. The eight areas of love.
But yeah, the eight arrows of love. So basically, just if you can think about like Cupid just shooting all his arrows, right? Or just,
Yeah.
or like, I don't know about you, but it's like, I think there have been key moments in my life when I have fallen in love. What's happening to my voice? When I have fallen in love, where it just kind of felt like this rush of energy through my body, It's like, I mean, I think it's just very Eight of Wands. It's like, I mean, it kind of feels like it's decisive and there's momentum and there's energy behind it.
hmm I get that. I see. It's interesting. I like to hear the different aspect that you're taking on this card. It's really interesting to hear that. This the eight arrows of love. Yes, it happens really quick. You meet somebody and then all of a sudden you feel like everything is aligned, and you're thinking, okay, we get on well, we laugh at each other, I like what this person does, we're attracted to each other, the chemistry is there, and it feels like everything is aligned and it's happening very quickly. And I do like this interpretation you give to it. Absolutely. That's gorgeous.
Yeah,
That,
like for example, obviously you would need supporting cards. Like, I mean, if we got the Ace of Cups with the Eight of Wands, like, that's the interpretation that I would include with
Mhm.
it. So, I mean, that's kind of the funny thing about these cards, right? Is that individually they aren't saying that much. I mean, they have their meanings, but it's like, it's when we read them in context,
Yeah.
and with the energies of other cards. But yeah,
It's like
I
a
did.
sentence. It's like a sentence. A word a word is a word, right? If you take the word love, for instance, because we're talking about radiation falling in love at the moment, the word love in on its own can means love, right? And everything associated to it. But depending how you put it in a sentence. So if you have the Ace of Cups and the Eight of Wands, and so that would mean Ace of Cups, new feeling, Eight of Wands happening very fast, right? Developing very fast. So this is the sentence that you put it in. But if you just have the Ace of Cups, which is a new feeling, then where does that go? You don't know, right? You need more cards to be able to create a sentence. And this is why I'm not very keen on the card of the day. I'm never keen on the card of the day. And when people say, "Oh, I'm learning tarot, I'm putting one card a day," I'm like, "Oh my God, you'll still be there in 10 years." Because
Okay, that's actually so funny because it's like in my classes I always tell people, oh, just do a card of the day. And they'll be like, well, what does it mean? And then the next week they always come back and they say, what does it mean? And then I'm like, yeah, see, one card doesn't actually do anything for you. So actually like pull multiple cards. So
yeah.
really I gaslight my students when in the first week, which maybe isn't kind of me, but it's like what I'm trying to show them is that like, these cards actually do mean very little. And it's like, and they should go ahead and like get that. You need to have that experience yourself
Yeah,
before you understand
absolutely.
that you need to begin stringing them together because absolutely, card of the day is an absolute fluke.
Yeah, it does not work. It
It does
doesn't
not
get
work.
you anywhere. You need to have a context and you
And
need to have two or three cards to create a sentence,
and then and I've had some students pull power for the card of the day and then they just get so upset for the entire day and they're like, oh no, so like something terrible is going to happen. And yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. And so going from the Eight of Wands into the Nine of Wands. So this is
Yeah, into the night,
in
into the
great strength, right?
yep.
Great strength. So we have a chap. Sometimes he has a helmet, sometimes he has a bandage on his head, and he has eight wands standing, and he's holding on to a wand, usually looking towards the past, right, towards the left. So it kind of feels like he's built all this stuff up until this point, but it kind of often we look at this as, the forever repeating pattern of something that's not necessarily that's costing us, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I think that this is like the wounded warrior card, right? Where
Mhm.
it's like, I mean, this guy like has like a bandage on his head. He feels like maybe a little bit defensive, a little bit wary. Um, but not to be mistaken with the defensiveness in the Seven of Wands. This is more about like maintaining one's position or a sense of hypervigilance, actually. So let's take away the word defensiveness,
Yeah.
because I think that the Nine of Wands is more about hypervigilance. So feeling like, that you really need to watch what's happening or the next moves or feel that feeling of having your back up. It's you're still dating or working towards something, but you're tired. You're tired.
Yeah.
You've been hurt before, so you're cautious, but you're not closed. You're continuing, but you're guarded. This is like the card of I'll keep going, but I don't fully trust this. Like the Nine of Wands is like my favorite example of the Nine of Wands is if you live in central London, or if you I mean just if you live in any major metropolitan city and you have to take public transport during peak hours, peak travel hours. Like, it's like, I don't know about you guys, but when I walk through those tube gates, it's like, I'm like, okay, phone's in my pocket, like, bag is zipped, like, bag's close to my body. It's like, if somebody pushes me, I'm ready to push right back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if somebody's following me. Like I'm wondering if somebody's peed on the tube seat. It's like, I mean, can I sit on that seat? Like, there's all of these,
The
there's all of these
charms of living
questions.
in central London.
Oh my God.
I mean, I love London, but I don't miss it. I don't miss that what you've just described. We're very lucky here in Vienna. It's very different, in public transport, and things work and everything is clean. And this is, one of the happy thing, the good things I have here. That's for sure. I do miss the West End. I do miss the West End
Yeah,
and to be
yeah,
able to go see amazing shows every day. But yeah, the Nine of Wands is really much about this. It's about, stay guarded. You keep doing it. You have to keep doing it, but you stay guarded. Um, And you're almost at the end. The nines talk about some compromise somehow. You have to keep doing it even though it's difficult. You keep repeating this pattern. You keep charging ahead even though you've done a lot so far, and you have to keep at it, somehow. But I think with the nine, you always have to wonder, for me, is the effort you're putting in really worth what you want? This is what I always feel with the nine. Not that you should stop, but maybe reflect a little bit on the repeating pattern. I always feel like with the nine. Because then it takes us to the 10. Are you doing the nine so the 10 can happen? Because the 10, we have a chap carrying 10 wands. They look heavy, they look difficult, but he's taking them home, right? He's finishing it. He's taking all the ones with him. It's a struggle, it's a burden, but he's getting there, right? So the question is, are you doing the nine so you can eventually get to the 10, or are you doing the nine and you're stuck there? I think this is for me the always the well, I'm a coach, right? So the idea is to empower and to find a way for people to move forward and to actually achieve things, right? So the nine, do you keep doing it over and over so you can finish it in the 10, or are you stuck in the nine? What do you think?
No, absolutely. I mean, Ten of Wands. I mean, you know, this is about burden instead of passion, right? It's like, I mean, we start with passion, we end with burden.
Ah, beautiful. You start with the Ace of Wands, which is the spark of passion, and the Ten of Wands is the burden. Beautiful. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we've taken on, like, this is the card of, like, we've taken on too much work and we feel burnt out, or you're carrying a relationship emotionally about yourself, or everything feels like effort and not excitement anymore.
Yeah.
But thus is life. Thus is life. It's like, I mean, we can't just, our burdens are ours to bear.
Yes, absolutely. And it will be interesting, then you think about if the 10 is the burden and one is the passion, maybe the solution to understand is to go back to the point of passion. Where did it begin? Why are you doing this? Is the burden worth it? Are you still passionate about what you're doing? Because if you're not anymore, try to think about what got in the way of the passion, and can you connect again to this passion? Or
Yeah,
can you not? And you just need to move on, because the tenth is the end, but it's also the need to move on to something else, right? So maybe the passion is dead. Now it's just heavy, ball and chain, and there's a need to move on to the next step of your life, the next phase. Maybe, I don't know. It just depends what
yeah,
you like. But there is something here, when there's too much is too much.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think we covered the ones.
I think,
So that's the thing, guys. When you don't know what a card means, always try to think what comes before and after. And this is very valid as well for the major cards. When you forget what a card means, try to remember what's coming before and what is going after. And that gives you a little narrative between three cards. And therefore, you can understand the positioning of that card. What does that card mean? Why is it there? So it's important to understand the storytelling of this, because reading the tarot is about telling a story through images, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly.
So would you pull us a card, Delphine, for the day, just because?
A card of the day, even though both you and I hate
Oh,
it.
we both hate
Absolutely.
it, but what card do we need
Okay,
to talk about now? This is the
what,
question.
yeah, what card do we need to talk about now? Ah, the Knight of Swords.
The Knight of Swords. Oh, this is the quartz. And you were just talking about how we need to do an episode just on the quartz. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just so you guys know, Adrian and I are we're going to cover the suits first, and then we're going to tackle court cards separately, because court cards, I mean, honestly, they're quite complicated. I would say that court cards can be more complicated than understanding the minors and also the majors, just because court cards are the facets of our psyche, but also the people in our lives. But also, court cards can represent situations. And so, just like understanding that a court card can actually be doing so much in a reading, we thought it was beneficial to just cover them separately so that we can really do it well. But the Knight of Swords, ultimately, the way that I see knights, knights represent movement to me. I see them as pursuit. Um, the Knight of Swords specifically, like I mean, the suit of swords is the suit of air, which is about movement. It's about intellectualizing our feelings or situation or whatever. But the Knight of Swords is moving very swiftly. The elemental correspondence here is air of air. So there's this feeling of being very decisive or kind of rushing in. I mean, sometimes the Knight of Swords can be a bull in a china shop. Um, I see the Knight of Swords as it can be like a quick arrival or it can be a quick departure, but ultimately it's just very swift. How do you interpret the Knight of Swords?
I always feel like the Knight of Sword is fighting for your ideas.
Yeah,
Very much, yeah, it's not very grounded, and he really acts faster than, he doesn't really reflect on things, and he just blurts it out, and he just says, no, 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 this is not how it is. This is how it has to be. And it's a very, somebody that really speak loud what he thinks, what they think, and very quickly, because it's
it's like me when I talk sometimes. Me when I talk sometimes is very Knight of Swords.
bang, 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 bang.
So quick.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Delphine, for spending this time with me.
It's
Uh,
always fun. This is like my favorite part of Fridays, as we've already said.
So these episodes are being aired every Wednesday. So make sure you click subscribe on either YouTube or Spotify or Apple, whatever your favorite platform is. So every Wednesday morning, you can get a new episode from us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye, guys, and see
Bye,
you next week,
everyone.
Adrian.
Bye bye.